We're live.
Hello, and welcome to My Perspective Mondays. Wow, we got a great show tonight, y'all. I want to know tonight, and this is, I hope you had a great weekend and everything,
Mhm.
but I want to know how many times should a person say that they're sorry? Now, I
Ooh.
know I've had to say that I'm sorry a whole heap of times, but how many times should a person say I'm sorry?
Well, you know what?
After,
Oh,
uh-huh.
I think, well, I'm going to be like Mark. Well, it really depends on what you're having to say I'm sorry for. I guess that would be a place to start because there's so many things. You lied to someone, you cheated on a wife, a girlfriend, you stole something, you made a mistake. There's a difference between a mistake and an accident. An accident and something that you did on purpose. So that can be wide ranging. So I guess for this next hour, we're going to be talking about the different kind of mistakes or things you can do wrong, and how many times you have to say I'm sorry for doing those particular things.
Okay, well, let's since you brought up relationship, what about in relationships? How many times should a person say, I'm sorry for cheating on you, making you feel bad, and or in let's say for cheating on you. How many times should a person say, I'm sorry for going out with this other person or cheating on you? How many times
Well,
should
first
we
off,
tolerate that?
if you're a married man, you say I'm sorry about 4 or 5 times a day. But I think you're kind of talking on a different level now, and
Hmm.
it's like John said, the wrong that's been done, and also it's difficult to gauge the sincerity of an apology. And very often people really are repentant for what they've done, but do they change the behavior as a result? And even
Right.
so, you can't erase what's been done. There's some things you just really can't. You can't apologize enough for.
Hmm.
So you can say
Mm.
you're sorry out the wazoo, and it may not change anything. And you also
That's
have
right.
to match it with actions too. You say, "Well, I'm sorry," and then go out and do something else or do it again. At that point, it's hollow. It means nothing.
I was about to ask that question because we have to identify the secondary issue with that. Is this a repeat offense? Because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you say I'm
Mm,
sorry after
exactly. Actions speak louder than words. Are they actually changing? Are they saying sorry for the same thing, the same mistake that they made over and over again?
I
Has
want
it
Interesting.
to I
changed?
want to welcome our guest host today, Renette. Renette just joined us. Everybody, welcome Renette.
Hi,
She's
Renette.
here to join us on
Hey
this awesome
everybody, how
topic.
are
We
y'all
are
doing?
here
that.
live.
Good.
Fine.
Uh,
Yeah.
so we're sticking with relationships right now, Renette, and I guess like Jackson said, repeat offenders does depend on how many times you have to say I'm sorry. I feel sorry for people who allow people to be repeat offenders, but that's a whole different topic right there.
Mm.
I've known people to where, you know what, I've had it. He's cheated on me for the fifth time. I'm fed up. I'm like, what?
I
Like,
know.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I think
crazy.
Go
if
ahead.
you continue to say I'm sorry, I think you need to look within yourself. It's time for some self-reflection. Because if you continue to do the same things over and over and over, obviously it's not a mistake. So I
Mhm.
think that it would be time for self-reflection if you have to continue to do this over and over and over. You should be questioning yourself. And in order to do better, we have to ask ourselves better questions.
Yeah.
And
And
know better, do better.
right. Well,
Absolutely.
also you
Absolutely.
have to provide an incentive for that person to not be a repeat offender. I know it's not okay. So the responsibility and accountability has to be on the person that's making the error. But also, we all know when you're in a relationship, it's no longer about you, it's supposed to be about us. So I always say, what is their incentive to change the behavior? If every time they do something wrong, you just let them off the hook, there's no incentive for them to stop doing it,
Yeah.
right? Because they know,
That's
oh,
true.
she's going to forgive me. Oh, he's going to forgive me. And sometimes you've got to have that willpower to say, you know what? We're on break, and that break might have to be a year, not 1 week, not 2 weeks,
I agree with you, John, because sometimes, see, for one thing, people that do have the tendency to keep saying I'm sorry and sorry, I keep cheating on people, they have forgotten that somehow or another, just because that person may have said, well, I forgive you, don't mean that they trust them anymore either. It means,
Right.
okay, we're gonna see what you're gonna how you know. So in other words, you may be thinking you're getting out, you slick and you're getting off on the hook, not knowing that every time you do that, you lose a piece of the other person and you don't even know it. You think you got them, I got them, I can say I'm sorry and do what I want to do, but all the while that they don't trust you no more. They really don't.
Well,
I'm
I
leaving.
think I heard it explained this way once that with something that's deep like that. Now, it's one thing you're talking about apologizing for something like cheating on a spouse, whatever. That's a lot deeper than a comment you shouldn't have made, or losing your temper or something like that. That's pretty easy to forgive. But with deep hurts like that, or if someone has wronged a loved one, you're a crime victim, whatever. I've heard it described that forgiveness is not an event; it's a process.
Yeah.
It takes time, and just that saying I'm sorry or making some kind of amends is a beginning, but it's not the end of it. So
That's right.
sometimes you have to kind of work for it, and say I'm sorry. It's a start, but it's not enough, and it's like you said, you can forgive, but it's a bit difficult to forget and move on.
I absolutely agree. And even the Bible says 70 times 7 forgive someone. But the thing is this, like you say, it is a process. And they think they can get away with it, as far as like, I heard some people in the comments, I saw somebody write about leaving and about, it's a lot more to it than what you think. I absolutely agree with you guys there. So it's like, it's not a very good feeling to be cheated on, and I know how that feels to be cheated on. And so, really, to say that, okay, I'll forgive you. Okay, okay, would you?
Well, hold on a
I
sec.
mean, you take.
Hold on a sec. Because I'm going to flip this too. I'm going to flip it now because we're talking about the person that says, I'm sorry. Now, we do have, here's another thing, because somebody said, don't apologize if it's not authentic. We can tell when your apology is authentic. Are we right about that? I can tell when I'm getting an apology. Here's the thing. We have this notion that we have to accept an apology. It's perfectly okay to say, I don't accept your apology. I have told people that before, because just like the apology needs to be sincere, I don't want to accept your apology and then treat you like you haven't apologized.
That's a good point
as well, because how many times after I say I'm sorry, we've all made mistakes on this crew right here. I've made a mistake, and it's like, okay, I have deeply apologized for this. You have forgiven me. We're 3 years later. I haven't done anything else, and I'm not talking about cheating. It was something else. And you're still bringing up the thing that you apologized for. How many times do I have to apologize? Now I want to take my damn apology back.
I absolutely agree with you.
Right. I want to speak on that as well.
Sometimes people want to get you in a certain atmosphere where they say I apologize to you, where you can't confront them and actually get down to the point and tell them how you feel, tell them what they did to get it out. So they put you maybe in the midst of a lot of people. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And all the while you're trying to say, well, it's like pressure. Well, okay, I forgive you, but at the same time, you didn't get out your point of view. You didn't get it out, so therefore you harbor the anger, even though you want to apologize to them, but they just don't know what place they took you to.
Well, you just said your solution. The one thing that annoys me was like, let's talk about it, and one person wants to step around the issue or be passive aggressive. If we're gonna say let's talk about it, let's talk about it. And where I'm getting at more, like, because I'm more on the side of the people, the person that commits the mistake always wants it to be over with the fastest. That's just natural, right?
Right.
But I don't remember if it was Renette or Jay that says change the behavior. So here's the thing. If they have apologized and changed the behavior, then we need to learn to let it go. That becomes now a you problem, because No.
Yeah.
If the behavior hasn't changed, then I can understand the concepts of bringing it up, because Clarence just said from the audience, the best way to say I'm sorry is to change, do better. Actions speak louder than words. And we have
Amen.
those scenarios where you've changed the behavior, but the other person still has not let it go.
Forgiveness is actually for yourself. It's not for the person you're
Yes.
forgiving, because then you hold in that hate. You hold
Exactly.
in, you spread it. Forgiveness is for you, not for the person you're forgiving.
If you
It's like
can't
a
quell the
falling
storm
tree.
inside of yourself, you'll never truly be at peace with the former actions that you've committed.
That's good.
Well, and
Absolutely.
forgiveness. I don't mean this in a negative way, but like was just said, forgiveness is really a selfish act. It's for your own good. If you,
It is.
it's been said that holding a grudge is like allowing somebody to live inside your head.
Yeah.
Eats at you.
And that's it's easy to talk about that, but actually put it in action is something else. So.
Right. The same double victim
Process.
that Yoni was talking about before. Because, like, if you said, I'm sorry so many times and they've seemed like they've forgiven you, but as soon as an argument spikes, that's the first thing that they throw at you is, remember when you
Yeah.
cheated?
Right. They haven't really forgiven. I mean, because and maybe that's because they have not changed.
And
And
I
they
wanna
seem
just-
that they have not changed. And
Uh,
it's hard, it's hard for someone to say, I'm gonna throw this out here. It's hard for someone to cheat on someone, and then expect to go say they're sorry and have the, have it in their mind to say, well, I'm gonna sleep with you again, and the other person not feel somewhat hurt behind that. Well, did this person do it better than I did? Did they love you better? Or what did I do to make you want to go? I'm serious. What did I
Those
do
are
to make you want to?
insecurities.
No. I know you're serious, but like I was saying, that's something you got. But again, that's not on that other person. That's something now you have to sort out. Don't
Of
keep
course, but
putting
I'm
that
saying it's wrong for
on.
them to think that
No.
it's wrong for them to think that it's so easy that you're not putting that affliction on the other person, that it was just a clean, I say I'm sorry and that's it. That's forget about it then. Forget about it.
No, you're absolutely right, but that's not what me and Jackson talk about, because I've been cheated on as well. That's not what we're talking about, the easy part.
Me too.
But again, once like I said, don't accept the apology if you're not ready to accept the apology. That's number one, and that's just my own opinion, because I'm not going to forgive you and then keep bringing it up. Now let's get away from cheating, because that's the easiest.
Yeah, cheating's a deal breaker.
I lent my car to a friend of mine because I wanted him to run an errand for me because I was too sick one day, and my car got totaled. And when I got to the scene, his mom was already there and his sister was already there. And later I found out, she said she was so scared because she thought I was going to come there and kill her child. I mean, he wasn't a child, he was an adult, but you know how moms view us. Kill my child. She said, but you were not even angry. I said, ma'am, it was an accident. I gave him permission to use the car. He totaled it. That's why I have insurance. What's done is done. And my friend walked on eggshells for like the next 2 months because he thought that I was going to bring it up. And it's like, no, I forgave you for it. And I feel like we put people sometimes in that position when we say, oh, I forgive you. And then it's a constant thing because I haven't let it go in my head. And now that person has to walk on eggshells. Again, we're talking about levels. Cheating is like that big one, but there's other mistakes that we make that a friend or family forgives us for, but they haven't really actually forgave us.
Well, it's definitely a process.
Go ahead, Renee.
Just because somebody says they're sorry, okay, you can be sorry. A lot of times, I'm sorry, you say that, it doesn't mean that you have to continue the relationship either. You can be, and that's exactly what it is. You can be sorry and bless them and let them go. A lot of times people think that I'm sorry and you have to continue to hold on to that. No, let them go. You forgiven, like we said, forgiveness is for you. I'm sorry, that's for you as well. And that's for them sometimes. But when you're sorry, sometimes people think that I gotta stay in this. I'm stuck. This is what I gotta do. No, when you're sorry, and then you move on. You don't hold on to it, you don't continue it. And then that way, the back and forth or the up and down and round too, you need to make a decision. There's two places we don't go back and forth, round and round. Just, I'm sorry. That's it. And you're done.
I had to
I
learn
think I think that
Well, if you-
applies to if people are, and I'm not talking about intimate relationships, but if a person has a loved one who has a drug or an alcohol problem, because they're going to hear that a lot. I got drunk again. I got stoned
Yeah.
again. I'm sorry it
Yeah.
won't happen. And
Yeah.
at the time they say that, they really mean it. They really are sincere. But the problem they have is bigger than that.
Mhm.
They're
And
sick.
saying I'm sorry is the best they
Biological
can do. But at some point, in a situation like that, you have to say what's best for me. Should I continue, whether it's your child, your spouse, or your parent, or whoever or friend the case may be? You have to decide. Look, I forgive you for what you've done wrong, but we can't do this anymore. And you go get help or get whatever help you need, and I'm going to live my life for myself.
In layman's term, what Mark is telling you, hey, I forgive you for being a crackhead, but you ain't coming to my house if I ain't there no more. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Or when I am there, okay, especially. Yeah.
I have something I want to say, and then I have a question for y'all. So I had to do that thing that Renette was just talking about because I learned that when you do that, now you're making yourself a bigger victim, and it just keeps boiling over, and now it becomes this big woe is me depressive state. Because I used to tell people this all the time when they were crushed by someone they forgave and they've moved on. And Mark said, living in your head, this person is now out doing what they're doing and having fun, and you're still soaking about it. So you
Exactly.
have to get inside yourself and help get over it. But I always think of this. Number one, the worst apology you can get is "I'm sorry you felt that way." That one.
Sorry if. Don't forget about the "I'm sorry if."
I hate
I'm sorry
that.
if, yeah.
Do you measure intent of the mistake or accident? The intent. Again, I'm not talking about you. That's an easy one. But I always say measure the intent. What was your intent when this happened? Sometimes we're intending to do something good and something bad happens. Have you ever intended to do something with good meaning behind it, and it turns out
Oh, absolutely.
bad?
Yeah.
Right.
So I understand with the intent.
But you can also gauge whether or not they actually meant and intended what they said based off of the expression. Because if you look at somebody and the whole time that they're doing something, you can be like, yeah, you meant that. You had passion behind what you said and what you did. However, a lot of people nowadays don't realize you don't necessarily have to forgive the person and stick around in that situation. Because nowadays I tell people forgiving is giving up the hope that the past could have been any different. And progressing is accepting the fact that that person no longer has a place in your future.
Y'all are giving some I need to start writing down. Y'all are hitting on Renette came in on fire. Jackson's dropping tidbits. I know Mark's gonna give me tidbits. Okay, just start writing
Mark,
some
can we get that dead guy quote?
Huh?
Can we get that dead guy quote, Mark?
I've got one brewing.
He's got one. Renette, you don't know this, but Mark, we pick on him because he's the oldest one in the cast, and we always say he's going to give a reference of the Beatles or Abe Vigoda or someone who's passed on.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and get it over with then. And this is before my time. Now I'm not this old.
Okay.
But there was an old TV show from the 50s before my time. But I've watched it reruns hundreds of times. Called The Honeymooners with Jackie Gleason, and Jackie Gleason plays this inept husband. He's just a guy, Ralph Cramden, and God help him, just can't do anything right. He tries and tries and tries, but he just can't do anything right. And Jackie Gleason said in an interview once that a guy like that, he tries his best, but he just goes through life saying "I'm sorry" a lot because he just can't seem to put one foot in front of the other, or whatever he does, he trips over it. And so he's constantly apologizing to his wife for all the mistakes he makes. And so a guy like that, you feel sorry for. He's trying the best he can, but he just keeps screwing up. And sometimes it's through his own actions. Sometimes it's through his temper or his big mouth. So, we say, well, this person is a repeat offender. We're not talking about cheating now, but we're all repeat offenders when it comes to our faults, whether we have a bad temper or a foul tongue or something like that. So, some level. And look, that's who you are. You're going to keep making that mistake, and that's the best you can do. There's your
some people are like that. That's why they have that phrase. What is it? I can't win for losing. Like, dang. Every time I try to do something right, something go wrong.
But I was going to say.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the reason they say they're speaking, whatever they speak, that's what they bring upon themselves. You have to watch your mouth. When you open your mouth, you have to put your mouth on what it is you want. So if you keep saying, oh, it's one thing after another, every time I try, it doesn't work. So you already said that, you know what, it's not going to work. And when you say I'm gonna try, that is a lie. That's an excuse you giving yourself already. I'm gonna try because that's an out. Well, I tried. You already have in your mind once you say you try that, okay, when it doesn't work, well, at least I tried. Instead of having the conviction that I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. Yep, you might fall, it may not work, but at least make up in your mind and put out of your mouth what it is you want to see. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Not I'm going to try because, like I said, trying is an excuse to me. If you're going to do, just do it.
I got a micro to that because I know there's somebody. I got a micro to that because I know there's people watching or going to watch that says, "But no, listen, I honestly try to do the right thing." Because there's a micro to that. Because I've known guys like this. You know what? I haven't been a good father, but you know what? I got my teenage daughter. She just got her license. I got her a new car. They get in the car. They try to do right, and the car blows up. You know why? Because you got the car from a friend of yours for really cheap. Because you was trying to do the right thing, but you try to be cheap and curtail to make her happy, you messed up. And they can't fathom, like, why do I keep messing up? It's because the shortcut you're taking is coming back to haunt you. So I do know people where they're like trying to do the right thing, but because they're taking certain steps, and I think that plays into what you were talking about, Renette. Well, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to keep falling yourself into the hole? There's a TV show called The Upshaws on Netflix with Mike Epps, and he keeps trying to do the right thing, but he screws it up every time. Every time he screws it up.
For sure. So it's about choices, and you got it's about choices. I hear Clarence says we learn to forgive those kinds of people and keep on loving them. Some people are accident prone.
Well, we also forgive people when we like them more. If we don't like you, we tend not to. You be at work, somebody do something wrong, but you really like them. You're like, oh, it's okay. But then that person at work that you don't like make the same mistake.
That is so true. That's so true. But I just think, like you went with, like you said from the beginning, the intention. What is your intention? If your intentions, when you're intentional about something, that means you have a plan. You're going to write it down. You're going to prepare. You're going to think about it. That's when you're intentional. And now if something happens on the fly and you really mean well, then you accept the responsibility when it didn't happen, when something falls apart. When you sit up and you lie and you make all these excuses, that makes me question your intention. If you did it, say, okay, I did it, and I'm going to do better. Now I'm gonna try, because like I said, that's a mistake. That's an excuse, but really do it. And it's just, I think a lot of times it's how we frame our words, it's the things that we say. And then words have power, as we know. We've heard that over and over. So when you use the right words and you do the things that you say you're gonna do, and you make an effort, that right there makes a difference. Because a lot of times, like I said, trying is just an excuse. So you'll be like, I said, how many times have somebody asked you to come somewhere and you'll be like, oh, well, I'm gonna try. You know you're not going. It's an outright lie.
You're not gonna do it.
Yeah, you're not gonna do it. So if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it, or you're gonna try with that lie.
That's a good point. And sometimes you got to go ahead.
Is it because people have a fear? Well, we know why some people do it, but is it because some people have a fear of disappointing? And then we have some people that just can't say no. I've had to learn to do this because I was a person that said yes to everything. If I thought it was going to make somebody happy or make someone's day or to help somebody out, I was always yes, yes, yes. And then I'm like, what did I just get myself into? But then I'm a man of my word. If I say yes, I do it. But I can tell that other people, they're like, you know what? I said I was going to do that, but I'm not doing it. I'm not.
Right. Well, I think that disease to please, it really is, it becomes an issue. And so when you see that that's happening and doing that, sometimes we have to go deeper. We have to figure out what we need to do. And sometimes it's bigger than us. And a lot of times we just keep to ourselves. We isolate ourselves. We don't get the help that we need. And some things are too big to do on your own. And I know, as you were saying about saying sorry so many times, when you see that you have to keep doing the same thing over and over and you can't fix it yourself, then that's the time to get you some help. And that's what we need to do.
Absolutely.
Recognize, okay, I need help. I can't do this on my own. That's just like an alcoholic who needs to go to AA. You cannot do it on your own. That's just like somebody dealing with death. You can't really solve that on your own. Sometimes you need to go to grief recovery. So when you need recovery, lie recovery, sex recovery, whatever kind of recovery you need.
No, I'm not going there. No, I need all the sex I can get. Lisette, you want
If you feel targeted, maybe that says something.
You want to bring on the weekly update, or you want me to do it? You got it.
I'll do it.
All right.
Well, just hang on, viewers. Hang on, viewers. You know what? Now it's time for Weenie Weekly Market Updates. Okay.
All righty. Hello, and welcome to Weenie's Weekly Market Update. And this is just a short segment, just a few minutes, where I go over what happened in the markets last week, what I'm looking for in the markets this week, and maybe a trading tip or two along the way. So let's get started right away. And I just wanted to quickly say that for anybody that doesn't know, I've been trading and investing for over 6 years, and I've been trading for an income and doing YouTube for the past 3 years. So I'm pretty involved in the markets. And so let's go over what happened last week. Last week, we were waiting on the market to go over its CPI report. And all we're looking at right here is a daily chart of the SPY. And remember, last week I was saying, hey, the SPY is the mother of the market. Think of your 401ks. People are investing in this weekly, sometimes daily, sometimes monthly. But if you have a full-time job, you're in the market. And last week, we were waiting on the CPI report, the consumer price inflation, and basically the consumer price index. And I was saying last week that I was expecting inflation to actually be less than what was expected. And I did pretty well in economics at Hamlin University. And so I was really just kind of like crunching those numbers, and boom, inflation was pretty good. And so basically saying there's less inflation than what we expected. So the market rallied, the market popped, the market just completely went up. It was just bulls, 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 meaning the bull is the market going higher. And it's really just important to note that stocks move in wave patterns. So similarly to how we breathe in, we breathe out. The market moves in waves. You know, it breathes out, and then it needs to take a breath. It breathes in. So if we zoom in right here, I'm drawing on the chart. Market breathes out, market breathes in, market breathes out. And sometimes the market just goes sideways. The market just goes sideways. People always ask me all the time, hey, Greg, Weenie, when should I sell a stock? And it's going sideways. It's just been going sideways for a long period of time. And I tell them, hey, that's actually a really good sign. If a stock that you just bought is going sideways, usually the next move is higher. That was its resting phase. Sometimes the stock pulls back or drops first before moving higher. So again, we want to be patient buyers. We don't want to buy after a breathe out, or I guess right after we breathe in this case. So basically what I'm saying is on the pushes higher, we don't want to be buyers. We want to wait for some sort of a pullback. So that's kind of where we're at right now in the market. We're breathing out, or we're extended into resistance. So basically what I'm looking for this week is, are there any signs for a potential drop? Is the market going to drop this week? Is the market going to drop next week? If I switch the time frame of the chart over here, what we can see is we can just see a bunch of green candles in a row. So green, 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 bulls, bulls, bulls. That just means for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, we've closed higher than what we've started the week. Basically, if you're an investor in the market in the last 2 months, you've gotten basically a year's worth of gains, a year or two's worth of gains in just a month and a half. That's pretty cool. But what that also means is that the market may be starting to stall out. Again, it could happen this week. It could happen next week. That's the thing I really want to talk about. And I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of studies looking at the market back in the early 2000s, and we're experiencing similar volatility during that time. And the tip that I wanted to leave you guys with is, just because I've done all this research, I think, oh, the market could be dropping soon. That doesn't mean that the market has to drop. So just as in real life, we can't have our stuck and stubborn biases. We need to be able to change if we see it on the chart. So I'll update you guys if I change my mind. But basically, I wanted to also talk about the fear and greed index. So right over here, this is called the fear and greed index. Normally, it's pretty colorful. It has some red colors, some green colors. Right now, we are sitting at neutral right here. We're at neutral. Basically, that means market participants aren't feeling extremely greedy, and they're not feeling extremely fearful. There's this push and pull, this game of tug of war between the buyers and the sellers. And so because of that, market could potentially be directionless too. One thing that I've noted and learned over the years is that when there's extreme fear, you've probably heard this from Warren Buffett, those are usually good buying points. Again, I'm not your financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you what to buy or what to sell or when to buy and when to sell. But most of the time, the stats say it's really good to potentially buy when you see the extreme fear towards the zero, like maybe we're at like a 10, versus if the market is flying sky high, we're going to be at extreme greed of 100. So we're sitting right here at about a 55 reading. So slightly about to get into the greed territory. So ask yourself, am I going to make a big investment into the market when there's extreme greed? If so, you might not have meat on the bone, as I like to say. It might not have room to run. We always want our trades and investments to have room to run. So that's just one thing that I want to leave you guys with today. What's the risk to reward? Are we in extreme greed or extreme fear? That's a quick and easy way. You can just Google that. And so basically what I'm saying is that short term, I think that the market could pull back. And so I actually have a trade on. And again, none of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you what to buy or what to sell. But today, I did just start to buy SPXS. And this is actually an inverse ETF, meaning this goes up when the market goes down, and it goes down when the market goes up. So think of Michael Burry, The Big Short. If you start to buy this and the market crashes, you're going to make a massive % return on your money. If the market goes to the moon and starts, just continuously going up like GameStop and AMC, SPXS is going to sell off or come down. So just a little position update for you guys. And that's basically all I have for this week's Weenies Weekly Market Update. Come check out Weenie Trades Live. We got services for beginners to the advanced people. And now let's get back to the show. I want to continue this amazing conversation.
On now.
All right. Thank you, Weenie, so much. I really enjoyed knowing about the market and somebody explained it to me. That means a lot to me. And I know I see someone else in the comments kind of wished it was, a course in school. So I think that would have been great as well. You know what? And I see where that, back to our conversation, I see where Jay had a question that he wanted to ask. What's the question, Jay?
Ain't nobody worried about Jay's question.
And ain't nobody worried about what Keone got to say. But like I was saying, I'm going to put this little disclaimer out. You know who you are. You know what you did. Come see me about it if you got a problem with what I'm about to say. But how many times are you willing to let yourself get hurt? And the phrase that I'm going to use is Band-Aids do not fix bullet holes. I've let somebody treat me like dirt from start to finish. Literally blew up on me for 15 minutes straight, but then afterwards proceeded to go have an hour and a half phone call with somebody crying their eyes out saying, I feel like I hurt them. You did, but I'm not about to take a sorry or an apology for that, because everything that you've done from start to finish that I've forgiven you for up until this is a breaking point. And by breaking point, I mean, even diamonds can crack when put under enough pressure. Are you really going to let somebody sit there and let you be used as a personal punching bag all the way up until you finally said enough is enough?
Is that what this show is? Are we trying to break the record for phrases? I feel like that's what we're doing this show. We are going to break the Guinness Book of World Records for most phrases used in an hour-long episode, and I love it.
Well, it's good to see Devin on the show. And Jay, it kind of reminds me, sometimes just like we've been discussing, I think you should forgive that person, but you don't have to be all up under their nose. You can forgive them and say, hey, bye. I love you, but I can't live with you. I can't be around you. You're toxic. There's a difference between saying, I'm never going to forgive you. I'll take it to the grave. You ever seen people do it? I'm going to take it to the grave. And you know what? I tell people, when you take it to the grave and you find yourself at the pearly gates, and he said, well, what's that big ball and what's that behind you? That's right. I suppose I lost that one. But I'm saying you can't take it to the grave. I agree with you. I absolutely agree. You shouldn't have to be around people like that.
Well, I agree with him too, but that one part you're saying, hey, listen, I'm like this. Pearly gates or not. Some people have done things that are so vile. I can get over, like there's somebody and they're related to me, close family member, which means they lived in my house. I don't want to say to which particular, if it was a parent or siblings that has done something so wrong that I'm totally fine with it. I'm over it, but they're never going to be forgiven. And people go, well, why? I said, because it doesn't bother me, but they're never going to be forgiven. And I remember why. And I used to feel bad about it until I saw an episode of Walking Dead where the guy Herschel was explaining what his father, and it wasn't my father, so don't try to draw conclusions, was doing something so vile to the family that when his father died, they said, well, did you go see him on his deathbed? He said, nope, because I didn't want to give him the satisfaction to think I cared. And that's how I feel about that. So, I mean, it's not, if it was weighing me down, then I would have, like Mark said, the forgiveness is usually for you. If it was weighing me down and bothering me, I would say, I forgive you. But since it's not bothering me, I'm like,
yeah. I've got some relationships like that too. I mean, and the people I'm thinking about, they haven't done anything terribly wrong. They didn't, they didn't break into my house or rape or rob. It's been a sour relationship for years. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that having a come to Jesus moment and saying, hey, let's work this thing out and let's all be friends. I don't feel compelled to do that. And
I'm not saying, I was not saying to be friends with them. I'm saying,
I wish it were different, but I just don't think it's going to be any different.
Well, just like you said, forgive them for you. But, you don't have to be all up on their grill,
Oh yeah, we weren't disagreeing with you. I was just talking about the part of there's a couple people because again, none of this, everyone listening, none of this is exactly right or wrong. These are our perspectives. Our perspectives. And there's just a couple of people where they're just not going to get the satisfaction to hear me say I forgive you. So it can eat them up as long as it's a little selfish of me. But hey, I'm a human being and I am not perfect.
Hey, John and Lisette, let me now go ahead. You go ahead now.
I was going to say, whatever you need to do to make yourself feel better. You can sleep at night with whatever you've decided, then that's what it is. Because everything does not need an explanation. When somebody has done some things to me that I didn't like, people know what they did. They're not crazy. They know it. There's no need to talk about it. And I've had people to say, well, I think y'all just need to sit down and talk. For what? But, because when I'm angry and I'm feeling some kind of way, I'm about to go off on you. I'm about to, depending on how I feel. So sometimes it's a process. I have to let some time go by. But when I'm done, and it's nothing to talk about.
Renette, I hate that part. That part that you're saying, like, you'll have a mutual friend that your friend has done something wrong. And they'll come in and want to talk to you, but like, well, I think y'all should do. Why are you calling me? Call the friend that did the wrong thing. Why are you over here?
And don't even call them because there's no need. Don't try to bring us together.
Well, I'm trying to manage.
Somebody, I'm gonna talk to you. We're all grown. I don't need the middleman.
No, I never try to manage another relationship anyway. I have to manage my own, let alone somebody else's.
Unless you come to them, like if you come to me as two friends says, hey, me and them are trying to talk somebody out. We need somebody to arbitrate in the middle and I've done that for friends before, real friends, not the ones we just label friends that aren't our friends. And I'm like, because I am that friend, and I'm sure I like everybody on this panel because I know you are all the same too. We're one of those friends that will tell that friend that you're wrong. We have people that can't tell their friend they're wrong. They just agree.
Yeah.
That's
And
not the kind of friends I don't try to have those people in my circle. The yes man, the agreement person. You need somebody that's gonna tell you your stuff stink. They need to tell you it stank. They need to not play with you like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of friend I am. I've lost people behind that, but that's okay. Because if you don't want to know, then that's your business. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a real friend. Will sit and tell you what it is
yeah,
instead of going talking about it and they seeing it and they don't like it. I'm gonna say it. Now it's your choice whether you want to change. And the only person you can really police is yourself. But you can tell a friend, hey, this is not right. This is what I see. And a lot of people, the main people giving advice are the ones that can't take it. But that's just
yeah. What were
Wow.
you
That's
gonna say,
exactly why
Mark?
County and I are so cool.
Hold on, was Mark? Mark was next, and then
Well, here's a question I got, and that is, who do you apologize to when you've done something wrong? And what I mean is, how many people have you wronged? And this is the case study that kind of comes to my mind. All right, this happened. This has happened. Things like this have happened before, but here's the one case that comes to my mind. Is that a man was a deacon in a Baptist church, well respected, all this good stuff. He worked for a lumber company. He worked for a business, and his son was trying to get a business off the ground. And long story short, he stole a bunch of money. He embezzled a bunch of money from his employer to help his son get this business. And I've seen other situations like that where somebody in a leadership position or somebody that people looked up to did something wrong, but they didn't do it to the people they apologized to so much. He felt that he felt he needed to stand up in front of the entire church and apologize to the church for what he had done at his business. Now, he apologized to the business too, I'm sure. All right. But he felt it bothered him so much that he thought he had let people down. So in other words, who was the audience you're apologizing to? Do we owe an apology to just the person that we did something wrong to, or to more people? Because you do something wrong, you affect you may affect your family, in some negative way. So I throw that out.
Perhaps both, but that is what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. How you come up with these situations where you're going to, like you're saying, you're going to apologize when you should be apologizing, but you're gonna you in other words, you set the stage for your apology, and for people that you are affecting, you're not letting them set their stage to receive the apology and to come to fight back with you and to talk about talk to you about the apology and everything, what defense that you've done. What about you, Devin?
Well, I think you can love people from a distance and not cast them out completely, based on how wrong they did you.
Is her audio low for anybody?
it
yeah,
is.
Can I be heard?
His audio is low.
Facts. Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go.
A little better.
Excuse me. So I think you can pretty much, well, for me, it's just loving somebody from a distance until you want to decide if you want to keep them or throw them to the wolves. Because personally, if you do something to me and we are close, or we are however close we are, and I see that those are your true colors starting to show, it's going to make me look at you differently until I feel like that's not something that I need, or unless I see you're trying to change for the better. But as far as apologies go, you should always go to the primary of the issue. Like for Mark's example, apologize to the business first because he took something from them to help somebody else. And then him as a deacon, he knows people are going to see that. He knows people are going to look at his image because he's a man of God. Like he's supposed to be doing such and such for his congregation. So that right there is also another caveat to him having to apologize to two parties, because he has a lot on the line there, not just for his work, but for his own personal image and what he's doing out for other people, his community, his church. So it would make sense to apologize to both, but that should make him look into himself as far as his own character and what he needs to work on.
You know what, Mark?
That's good.
You were saying, here's the thing, and I don't mean to be skeptic, but here's the thing. We see people do stuff like you're saying, and we just saw it with, the Will Smith and Chris Rock. It took 9 million years for him to apologize to Chris Rock, but he apologized to everybody else, right? Now, in your scenario that you
Right.
picked, hopefully he apologized to the business, but the church one, I don't see it as much because whether it's church, whether you're a singer and they're fans of yours, people who follow you are usually more easily forgiving of you because they're already ready to forgive you. All the R. Kelly fans were forgiving him. All the Bill Cosby fans were trying to forgive him and say things didn't happen. And then you have the deacon, and you can go back to your church, that's your home ground, and ask for forgiveness. And I'm not saying that forgiveness should be hard to get. I'm just saying that one's not as hard because that's a congregation that's already following you. They want the best for you, and they want to believe, which is not a bad thing. They want to believe that you're going to do the right thing and you can be forgiven. What Devin said about leadership is people get mad when we hold leaders to higher standards, but you're supposed to be of higher standards when
Absolutely.
you're a leader because people are following you. People are trying. You can't tell people to live their life a certain way, and then you want to live your life a different way. So he was right to eventually apologize to everybody, but at least he was thinking of the people that he could be affected. Maybe he was thinking of that. Maybe he was saving his own ass. I don't know, but it's not for me to judge his apology.
And you know what? That's not only in religion. That's in politics. That's in anything, any job.
Well, any sphere of life. Yeah.
Come on,
Jackson has his hand up.
Come on.
Really quickly, I got a question, and don't judge me off the people that I associate with, but do we necessarily get to pick and choose what we forgive people over? Because I've had people call me some racially motivated names, put me in some explicit situations, call me certain things, and I've tried to let that go. But whenever I've voiced it to certain people, the first thing out of this person's mouth, however, was "Por qué sigue vivo?" which is, why is he still alive?
Well, listen, you choose what you like. The scenario you just give, I'm 44. Of course, I've been called things. Here's the thing, that stuff doesn't even bother me anymore because most of the people calling me those names ain't worth a damn anyway. So, you got to look at who's saying it. Hey, I was molested at 6 years old and again at 9 years old. And a psychiatrist used to always ask me as an adult, does that bother you? And I say, no. How'd you just say that so easy? Why does it bother you? Because I've been to my hometown. I've seen those two people. They're dirt poor. They live in filth and they have nothing going on for themselves. So they don't have to say, I'm sorry to you. I don't care. It's like you're worthless right now. So if some ignorant person wants to call me the N-word, they've already failed at life.
You'll get what's coming to you, pretty much. Like that's what.
Well, it's not as likely to, and obviously I can't relate to what you said. But we're only hurt by the people we love, and these people you're talking about. Obviously, there's no love there, so it's more difficult for them to hurt you. But if somebody you love hurts you, whether it's that way or someone else, that makes it a little tougher. I don't. If somebody flicks me off in traffic, well, who are you? I don't care. I might get mildly irritated, but I'm not hurt. But if it's someone that I know and love that does something to me, then that cuts a little deeper.
Yeah, that person's still alive because I'm not going to jail for some ignorant fool.
There you go. Yeah.
What was that Dave Chappelle shit? I mean, I said shit, sorry. But we can curse. But anyway, that skit when keeping it real goes wrong, people who are always trying to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real. You can get these hands. Okay, you can get 3 years in prison too.
Right.
It's kind of like it's almost like picking on people that you think you can get away with picking on. It's like a bully. I mean, I've definitely dealt with some bullies in my life. This girl after school, man, she was taller than I was, and she kept stepping on the heel of my shoe. I mean, she kept stepping every day after school. She was, she wanted to flex, trying to, kept stepping on my little heels. I was little elementary girl, and she gonna try to, I said, okay. She said, I'm gonna see you after school.
I think I remember this story.
Okay.
I've heard this
She would do that every day. She would do it. And you know what?
Lisette story time.
I got so mad. I'm telling you now. I got so mad. You know what I did? I said, the day after school, I'm gonna whoop you. I said, I'm gonna get you if I, you know what? You know what I did? I was ready to get out of school. And when I got out of school, I was a little girl, I was ready.
She wasn't
Come
there.
on, come on, Cletus. Come on. Come on.
Cletus.
She didn't never show up. She never showed up.
Yeah, you saw the story.
That's what it was.
Stop interrupting Lisette's story time.
While I'm getting older. But I'm just saying, you know, they're bullies. They're trying to bully people, you know, but just
When the hair starts flying, John, that's
just
when it
don't
really
be a bully.
Right? Renee,
Don't let them get away with it.
Yes.
so that you think we're not being rude to Lisette. Every show there becomes a point where she goes into story mode and the hair starts flying and she starts speaking in tongues sometimes. And we
Hey,
don't know.
I get it. I get it. She's passionate about what she's saying. That's
You're-
good the story.
You're
Were you
right.
I get like that sometimes too, you know, when I'm starting. But when you talk about keeping it real, it's a lot of people who the main ones, I'm gonna keep it real, I'm gonna keep it real. They need to get real with themselves. Half of them keeping it real, people, not real with themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the
Anytime-
only person you really should be keeping it real with, because when you can keep it real for yourself, then it shouldn't be hard for you to keep it real.
Come on, sis.
Anytime somebody says they're keeping it real, they're not being nice. That's an excuse for being an a-hole.
Oh, yeah, this one that when people say,
No, because I
You
keep
know-
it real and I can be
no.
nice about it.
I think you're more talking about, Mark, I hate this one. Somebody said, well, I'm not rude, I'm just blunt. No. You're rude. Even blunt people know when to not say certain things. Even
I
keeping
know
it
that's
real people know when to not say certain things. Rude ass people don't know when to not say certain things. So no, you're not blunt, you're rude, and no, your horoscope is not a reason for you to be a complete ass. Okay.
Thank you.
That part.
I'm such a Sagittarius.
Before we get to final thoughts, our gracious and wonderful host Lisette is going to bring us to final thoughts. I want to just catch up on the comments. Clarence says, we learn to forgive those kinds of people and keep on loving them. Some people are accident prone. Undead Mistress says, I've learned to love at a distance.
Yes.
Arlena says, right, if a person owns it, I'm more inclined to forgive and expect the change. Let's go. Clarence is blowing up the inbox, but we're going to get to someone else. Gregory, thank you for joining in, Gregory. That's why I like having Weenie Trades here. He's brought so many people. Gregory says, same for me. I never want to apologize. I would never want an apology. I asked them to be better next time. I'll even ask them to make a plan to be better. That is amazing. That's very noble of you. And then I thought we had, here we go. Why people poke a bear, then play the victim. I'll never understand that. Karma got hands. I love that. I think that's what you know what? That happens so much. You got all that mouth while I got my work uniform on, but now I clocked out and you ain't got nothing to say.
Catch me outside. Period. You ain't ready
I didn't have time before, but I got time right now.
after the 8 hours.
Oh man.
Wow. This is awesome. You know, I enjoyed the conversation and listening to everyone's perspective. Now we're going to do our final thoughts, you know, to wrap all this up, and to, after we make our salad, we're going to put some seasoning on it. All right. So what is the final thoughts tonight? You know,
Let's do
What
our
you
guest host, last so that she gets her shine in here. All right.
All right.
You running around, you call the names.
all right. Raise your hands.
We
Okay.
back.
Calling us.
I'm gonna give it to Jay first. Okay, Jay. What's some good final
Be
thoughts?
spicy.
Put that pepper stuff
To
in there.
double back on to what I said before. There's only so many shots that you could take before you inevitably got to shoot back. Don't be target practice for somebody. Let them know that your actions got consequences. If you can't back up what you're saying, don't say it at all, because you can't always apologize at the end of the day. If you shatter a pristine porcelain plate, are you going to say sorry to it and expect it to be perfectly fine afterwards? I wouldn't think so.
I like that. What about you, Devin?
I think people should really be wary of who they're messing with, as well as what they say or do before and afterwards, because you never know who's gonna meet you or exceed that point, and you can't back up what you're trying to say. So with that, also love at a distance. If somebody did you wrong, that's them showing their true colors. And eventually, if you don't see the whole color palette, you can just see enough as to where you want to know if you want to continue with them or not. That's all.
Yeah, I like that. Mark?
I think life is all about striking a balance in so many areas, whether it's work or relationships or school, what have you. And this is one of them. Striking a balance between being compassionate and being forgiving and being a doormat. And it's a lifelong challenge trying to find that proper balance between having respect for yourself, but also realizing that you make mistakes too, and therefore we should accept the faults other people have as well.
That's awesome. I'm gonna slide in there next. Do unto others as you will have them to do unto you. If you don't want to say you're sorry and you don't want to have to forgive people, then by George, don't do anything crazy that would tick people off that you have to, they have to forgive you for. And if you are, just do people right. And then flip side of that, if they ask forgiveness, then forgive them. However, that does not mean that you got to stay in that position, in that space for them to keep on hurting you again. All right,
I
Keone.
Well, we spend a lot of time person who's asking for forgiveness. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse, and I'm going to talk about the person that's being forgiven. Again, I'm not talking about cheating. That's the easiest thing to use. And someone who's been cheated on a lot will be the victim of talking about the apologies for everything that happens. I'm going to tell you this. If you're going to truly forgive somebody, then you need to also move the hell on. Because I'm going to tell you this. If I ask you apologize and you give me and you forgive me, and later you want to keep bringing it up, you can kiss my ass, okay? Because I've already apologized and you forgave me, so you can go hold that over somebody else's head. Because after that, you can basically kiss my ass, all right? Because a lot of things I've done wasn't the intent to do harm. Sometimes something happens out of something else. But again, if you forgive me, don't be ready to forgive if you're not truly ready to forgive. So I just want to tackle the other side of that as well, because we're human. We're going to make mistakes. Some are not as easily forgivable as others, but you're also the person that I'm asking apology for. You ain't perfect either.
All right, Renette.
Well, I like to tackle both sides. And I say that you always have a choice. So you look like your choices. You have to make a decision which way you want to go or what you want to do. And when you make that choice, be grown about it. Accept the choice. Don't go back and forth. And then move on. If that's what it is, you decide to move on, move on. If you decide to stay, stay. You don't keep complaining, don't keep going back and forth, around and around. Your choice is your choice. And once you make it, then, keep it moving. As I've been forgiven, then I want to be forgiven. Don't bring that back up in my face at all. It ought to be done. And if it's not done, then that other person has a choice to stay or give the deuces. So you have to make up your mind. Everybody has the capability of a choice and accept responsibility of the choices that you've made. And I like when I don't remember if it was Jay who said, Mark, karma, it has a hand. It's gonna slap you back. So what goes around comes around. So you understand that you ain't gonna keep doing that and get away with it. So whatever happens, that's on you. And that's
Hey,
my
this is so good. Thank you so much to our guests for coming. Renette, thank you so very much. Bush, and we thank
yeah.
all of the cast. Keone, we love you guys. Don't forget to tune into My Perspective Friday, all right? Thank you so very much to all our visitors coming in and putting their questions and comments in there. Thank you. And don't forget to come back again next Monday. All right. And we thank you so very much. Smooches and cooches. Smooch and cooches. Smoothes and and don't forget to forgive. All right. Thanks so very much.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye, y'all.